Turn the camera sideways.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, whenever you're ready, sir.
Oh, we're started.
Oh. All right, guys. Hello.
Hello.
Thank you. So today, he's okay. Today we're going to talk about the step over armbar specifically, as far as the offensive path we're going down. But the way we're going to get there is going to be ladled with details. I think ladled is the word I was looking for. It could be ladled.
Just pour them right on. Yeah.
Just pour them details right on you. It's like soup. And we'll be talking about some really cool concepts on the way. So we've laid out kind of our main conceptual underpinnings for the semester, right? We talked about the first thing I have to worry about is, and if you guys actually think about it, if we go back for a second, for those that have been 10:30 sort of morning mafia folks for a while, if you remember back when we did our passing half guard semester, we talked about our objectives being A, to immobilize our opponent so that they can't escape and sweep and so on, and then immobilizing them in such a way beyond that to where we can mobilize ourselves. There's immobilization to pin them, and then there's immobilization to allow ourselves to mobilize. And you generally can't skip to step 2. You got to get step 1 and then advance to step 2. And that's a pretty common thing if you guys think about it, almost any of these positions we've gone over. Side control is no different. I need to immobilize my opponent so that he or she cannot, escape or re-roll me just to start off with. And then I need to continue the immobilization in such a way, proceed where I can advance, right, where I can move. So we pin our opponent, and then we go to offense. Our offensive concept, as we've laid out, is pretty straightforward. We were to create a situation that is so untenable for the bottom person that they have no choice but to try to change it, right? If I have John, let me get you in side control. If I have John in side control, and I'm not really putting any pressure, I might have control, but the only way for me to advance from this point is for me to open up. If he's being defensive and he just doesn't want to, right, make anything happen, let's just say, because I'm just like kind of, being light, let's say even if that arm's stuck in there, if he doesn't feel the inclination to change the situation in any dramatic way, he's going to wait for me to open up, and then those elbows come in, go ahead, and he starts moving and tripping. So, let me jump. So, we want to use pressure, right? So if you guys remember, I have this arm trapped, heavy on my heels, palm faces up, gets in the armpit. I can even slide up to his ear to really create a bend in the neck. Then I'm going to drag his shoulders back in space, slide my shoulder down to the point where my shoulder should be under his chin, and then I'm going to smash his face with my shoulder. And I could just keep doing this and making this worse. From here, they're going to eventually try to push or frame on your face. It's going to happen, right? And that's where we get to our rhino horn, pin, and so on. Now, last Wednesday, we talked about what if they circle this arm over our head and we get here, okay? We showed a couple options from this. We're going to advance forward from the first one, which is that telephone armbar, right? So I cup the elbow, drag my elbow back in space. I'm aiming to bring this across the center line, right? Forearm catches his midsection. I support the elbow with my palm. I lock it, and then I drop on his wrist to get this armbar, okay? There's going to be a couple of really predictable responses when you start doing this to somebody. The first one, the obvious one, I'm going to loosen up for a second, is he's going to try to put his elbow to the floor. Let's say this elbow, right? If he can just get his elbow to the mat, the whole thing's lost, right? As long as I keep his elbow across the center line and I keep tight control, put that elbow down, please. It's not going to happen, or at least it will not frequently happen. The next thing that tends to happen is when you start putting heat on this, is they hip escape, right? Exactly. Which seems like a good idea, but the cool part is this actually just makes this armbar even worse, okay? Which leads us to the most common thing that tends to happen. Now, sometimes people go right to this third one. I can feel John already setting up to do this, right? Is he's going to hug around my elbow, or sometimes they'll punch through and hug over my shoulder, right? So we go through that whole sequence of events. We're here. Let's say we start from the rhino horn. I'm driving. He circles his arm over my head. I catch this elbow, and once he starts feeling this armbar happening, he starts to hip escape. I suck it in even more, and he circles, okay? This is the thread that we're getting him to go down. Now, from here, this is where our transition is going to happen. I'm going to hug his shoulder in tight, stuff the head, and step up with my foot going far behind his back. I do not want to step up here. I want to step up back here. All right? I'm going to show some other stuff on the other side in a second, but I'm going to go ahead and advance forward. You'll see this in a second. My foot's going to windshield wiper over, and then I almost have this moment where I squat. My knee is driving like down and into his back. The other knee is lifting up. I turn. I get my armbar. Now, before I go into super deep dive details of that armbar, I'm going to answer a question that might be on some people's minds. Because I'm sure a couple of you guys have seen a step over armbar before. Actually, I need to get stay down there. Why wouldn't I just, the second that this arm comes here, just lift his shoulder up? That's a good question, Jimmy. I'm glad you asked. Well, this is fine. This is okay. Like, if I lift his shoulder up, this puts us basically in the same mechanical alignment that we were when he hip escaped and hugged around my elbow. Here's the thing about this though, guys. Guys, we just got mind wiped. We all forgot jiu-jitsu. So don't think about, oh, well, I would hip escape. Don't answer me with a jiu-jitsu answer. I want you to answer me with a common sense answer. If the thing I need to do is predicated entirely on lifting your shoulder up, what is the first thing you're going to try to do? Put it the heck back down. Right. So if we're in side control, and I go here, he's going to immediately start trying to put his shoulder back down. I don't know if you've ever been going for a step over armbar and you get halfway across and they just, whoop, shoulder goes down to the floor and now you have nothing, but it happens. Because what I am trying to do is force something against a pretty logical state of resistance, right? The reason why we go down this thread for this teleport armbar, to answer all of the questions about that, this way look, is because when I go for this teleport armbar, and he shrimps, right, and I turn and he hugs, he put himself right in the spot I want him to be in. And I'm ready to boogie. Okay? This is so critical of an idea. This is the kind of thing that, like, this is the difference between catching mid-level guys with your step over arm bars and starting to catch, like, brown and black belts with your step over arm bars. Because we're creating a situation where we're making the right decision, the wrong decision. It makes sense to shrimp. It makes sense to get on your side. It makes sense to try to recover on the inside. But by doing that, he's putting himself in harm's way for the step over arm. Does that make sense, guys? So let's talk about that arm bar just for a second, and then we'll, actually, you know what? Let's get that transition, then we'll drill, we'll break, and then we'll go over some nuances of the arm bar itself. So I just want to practice that transition. Actually, let me get you out of here. Grab your mic.
Hey, Coach. When you were doing the step over, I could only see your back. Did you want me to get on the other side?
Yeah, I'm going to turn Mike towards like about here.
Okay.
So let's say I'm in side control, right? So we'll just go right to the part where you, we can do the right horn actually. So you frame my mic, you're trying to frame me out. Boom, the arm circles over the head, right? So I catch, drag, and I go here. Again, his first instinct will be to put the elbow to the floor, this elbow, but it shouldn't be able to happen. So as I start putting heat on this arm bar, his next instinct will get on his side. If I just turn his elbow over and hug, I actually have a stronger teleport arm bar than I did in the first place. So then he's either going to punch, right, hug around like that, or punch through and, right, go over my shoulder, almost like hug around my shoulder. Right, exactly. Either way is fine. More likely it'll be around the elbow. It's going to be around the elbow. I'm going to cup his elbow, or shoulder rather, stuff his head in. His back foot steps far. You guys see that? Like way over. From here, guys, let me turn us a little bit. Just yep, that's perfect. Watch my foot. Yep. I windshield wiper my foot over. This is so that when I turn, I don't end up behind his armpit. I windshield wiper my foot over his wrist. That's all it takes. And I'm sort of pressing my knee into his back while I sort of squat in the middle and turn. Boom. Over here. Okay? And just practice getting to this. Get to finish. And then we'll go into some nuances of that arm bar itself. Does that make sense? Does anybody need to see that again? I'll do that invisible opponent just so you see like the mechanics. So I'm here, I scoop, like he punches through, so I hug the shoulder, stuff the head, step far. And then this is the transition, guys. I'm going to be like Elvis. Right? Doing some Elvis things. So as I press my knee in, my other knee comes up. And that's fine. Does that make sense, guys? Excellent. Let's partner up, work it out. 1, 2, 3.